Hello, good afternoon, good morning, and good night. Welcome you back again. And today,
Hello.
hello, sir.
Morning, morning, everybody.
Yeah, good morning, and welcoming back again. Uh, Today afternoon, we have three participants from country report: Mr. Mark, Mr. Julie, and Miss Kimberly. So, would like to first.
Hello, sir.
Share your screen.
Hello. Hello, sir.
Hello, sir. Please.
Yeah, yeah, I would like to report first because I think my colleagues in the Philippines are not here yet.
Yeah.
So, permission to share my screen, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can.
Okay. This is a. Oops. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm introducing myself again. My name is Mark Kachin. I'm from uh, the island of Mindanao. As you can see here, this is Mindanao. I am from here. My place is called Dipolog City, in the province of Zamboanga del Norte. Uh, I am currently uh, working in the Department of Science and Technology as a science research specialist. I am an agriculturist by profession, and I am here to present to you my country report as I prepared it. As you can see in the picture, can you see my screen now? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Uh, I've pictured here most of the Southeast Asian nations, you know. Uh, as you can see, this is the Philippines, situated uh, east of Vietnam and Cambodia, Thailand, Myanmar, and Bangladesh. I included uh, your country, sir. Uh, and in the eastern side of the Philippines is the Pacific Ocean. So Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, these are all our neighbors, Brunei, even Taiwan. So I would like to take you back 7,000 years, 700,000 years, when the Philippines was still very much in its prehistoric days. So the history of the Philippines is known to have begun at least 700,000 years ago, as suggested by the discovery of Pleistocene stone tools and butchered animal remains of a rhinoceros associated with hominin activity. A species of archaic humans, the Homo luzonensis, was present on the island of Luzon at least 67,000 years ago. This is a very new discovery. I think this was discovered in May of 2018 by French and Filipino archaeologists in the island of Luzon in Kalinga, or Kalinga in Luzon. So I don't know if you know it, but the Philippines was under the Spanish rule for more than 300 years. So the written record of the Philippine Islands starts with the coming of the Spaniards. Not that the country had not had a history, a culture, and a literature before, but the Spaniards in their religious zeal, destroyed most of the records as completely as possible. Uh, they were very keen in destroying records of a country for reasons for reasons they only knew. Therefore, much of the what is known about the pre-Spanish days comes from the records of other countries which were in touch with the Philippines. The Spanish colonial period of the Philippines began when explorer Ferdinand Magellan, pictured here right, came to the islands in 1521 and claimed it as a colony for the Spanish Empire. Uh, the empire lasted in 1898 during the Philippine Revolution. So I know you're curious about the picture here. This guy right here, this is our national hero. He is called Lapu-Lapu. It is written and documented that Lapu-Lapu's crew uh, has killed Magellan and his crew, most of them. But still, we were under the Spanish rule for more than 300 years. So much of our culture you can trace back to the Spaniards. You know, even our last names, the Lopezes, the Gonzaleses. There are a lot of Spanish traces here in the Philippines, even until now. So, as you can see here in the picture, this is uh, actually in the Philippines we have four types of climate. You know, color coded here in this picture. So type one, you can see that it is colored blue here. This is a type 1 climate has a dry season from November to April and a wet season for the rest of the year. I'm sorry. And second type of climate, the type 2 climate has a dry season, has a no dry season, but has a maximum rain period from December to February, minimum rainfall during the period from March to May. Dry season, which is pictured here as red, has a short dry season either during the period from December to February or from March to May. And it has no very pronounced maximum rain period. Type 4 climate, which I am also here, I live here in this part of the Mindanao, we have no dry season. Um, Rainfall is evenly distributed throughout the year. Although I would like to say to you that during 2019, it was recorded by Pag-asa, our weather advisory office here in the Philippines. 2019, we experienced the driest year to date, 2019. I think we haven't had a precipitation from the month of January until May. So this is a climate data for Zamboanga del Norte. I would not like to explain much on this, but Zamboanga del Norte is pictured here in the map as color red, and these are the data. But I would not expound on this. This picture here is the population of Zamboanga del Norte. We are the population of Zamboanga del Norte in the Philippines in the 2020 census was 1,047,455 people with a density of 140 inhabitants per square kilometer or 360 inhabitants per square mile. So the main language spoken is Cebuano or Bisaya. Other languages include Chavacano. Chavacano is like, I don't know if, I hope Kia will correct me on this. Chavacano is like 60% Spanish, 20% Ilonggo. Ilonggo is a language spoken by people who resides here in this part of the Visayas. And 20% mixed language. We also speak Subanon. Outside, excuse me. Subanon is the language spoken by the indigenous people. Tagalog is our national language. Anyone or everyone in the Philippines can converse using this language. And of course, English. Filipinos speak English. Because I did not mention earlier, Philippines was also under the American rule for about 40 years plus. So yeah, most of our textbooks, most of our road signs are in English. Religion, okay. The predominant religion before was Islam until the Spanish regime reigned over the region and spread Christianity by the help of the church's missionary congregations like the Jesuits, Augustinians, and the Dominicans. Major environmental, social, and economic issues. Of course, the Philippines are prone to natural disasters, particularly typhoons, floods, landslides, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, tsunamis, lying as it does astride the typhoon belt. In the active volcanic region known as the Pacific Ring of Fire, and in the geologically unstable region between the Pacific and Eurasian tectonic plates. We also suffer from major human-caused environmental degradation caused by the annual population growth rate, including loss of agricultural lands, deforestation, soil erosion, air and water pollution, improper disposal of solid and toxic wastes, loss of coral reefs, mismanagement and abuse of coastal resources, and overfishing. Although this loss of coral reefs and overfishing can also be attributed to other countries fishing in our fishing grounds. I would not like to, I do not want to emphasize what country, but we all know what country who claims most part of the West Philippine Sea. In this picture in the right, you can see this is Typhoon Haiyan in I forget the year, but as you can see, the Philippine map was totally enveloped by this huge typhoon colored red and yellow with very high amounts of rain. So if there's a problem, the Philippines has also come up with its solution. So these are the national environmental policies related to climate change. Of course, we have a this is more than 10 years now, the Renewable Energy Act of 2008. This is aimed to accelerate the exploration and development of renewable energy resources, such as biomass, solar, wind, hydro, geothermal, even ocean energy sources, including hybrid systems, to achieve energy self-reliance through the adoption of sustainable energy development. This is also aimed to increase the utilization of renewable energy by institutionalizing the development of national and local capabilities in the use of renewable energy systems. This is also aimed to encourage the development and utilization of renewable energy sources as tools to effectively prevent or reduce harmful emissions and thereby balance the goals of economic growth and development with the protection of health and the environment. And of course, this is also aimed to establish the necessary infrastructure and mechanisms to carry out the mandates specified in this act and other existing laws. Other policies related to climate change is the Republic Act 9003 Ecological Solid Waste Management of 2000. This is in partnership with stakeholders. The law aims to adopt a systematic, comprehensive, and ecological solid waste management program that shall ensure the protection of public health and environment. The law ensures proper segregation, collection, storage, treatment, and disposal of solid waste through the formulation and adaptation of best eco-waste products. every municipality in the Philippines has implemented this act, Solid Waste Management Act, and if you stroll around the Philippines, you can you can see in strategic places there are MFRs or MRF, sorry, material recovery facilities. It is a communal, uh, not a dumping site, but communal garbage collection area where people who segregated their waste can throw their waste there uh, in separate bags for biodegradable, non-biodegradable, and recyclable materials. So this is an implemented Republic Act. I know this is a very good strategy to reduce plastic waste in the Philippines. And also, we also have a Republic Act 9275 or the Philippine Clean Water Act of 2004. The law aims to protect the country's water bodies from pollution from land-based sources, industries and commercial establishments, agriculture and community or household activities. It provides for comprehensive and integrated strategy to prevent and minimize pollution through a multi-sectoral and participatory approach involving all the stakeholders. Uh, Other policies are the Republic Act of 8749 or the Philippine Clean Air Act of 1999. The law aims to achieve and maintain clean air that meets the National Air Quality Guideline values for criteria pollutants throughout the Philippines, while minimizing the possible associated impacts to the economy. And of course, this is a new law or a new policy, Biofuels Act of 2006. This is develop and utilize indigenous, renewable, and sustainably sourced clean energy sources to reduce dependence on imported oil. This is also aimed to mitigate toxic and greenhouse gas emissions, increase rural employment and income, and ensure the availability of alternative and renewable clean energy without any detriment to the natural ecosystem, biodiversity, and food reserves of the country. Uh, I have here a picture of a energy resource potential map of the Philippines. Uh, in areas where there is very good sunlight, we can have an average installation of 5 to 6 kilowatt hour per square meter per day all throughout the country. So the dark green is 5 kilowatt per hours per square meter per day. And the light green, you can have a solar energy resource potential of 6 kilowatt hour per square meter per day. So I think that's that's my final slide, but I want to add something. Uh, the Philippines has the highest installed wind power generation in the ASEAN region, with an estimated wind power potential of 76,000 megawatts. It is expected to triple in 15 years. Wind farms are already installed in Ilocos Norte in Luzon, Rizal, and in some parts of the country, while solar farms are present in the provinces of Cagayan de Oro, Negros Occidental, and in Pampanga, the largest with 150 megawatts of power. However, the slow growth of solar energy in the country is blamed on the high cost of solar generation system. According to uh, a government official, DOST's research and development on high efficiency but low cost solar cells have not come into fruition. It needs more research and development. Furthermore, the low feed-in tariff which the government requires power companies to purchase solar power at 9.68 pesos is still low compared with the 17.95 proposed by the National Renewable Energy Board of the Philippines. Uh, The Philippines also has a Philippine Climate Change Act of 2007. This bill seeks to create a national framework on climate change mitigation, adaptation, and communication, and establish mechanisms to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from energy, power, transport, and manufacturing sectors to usher in a low carbon revolution in the Philippines and institutionalize the country's commitments to international efforts to address the problem on climate change. As a manifestation of the country's commitment to engage in multilateral efforts aiming to address the global problem of climate change and achieve sustainable development, the Philippines has participated in the discussions and negotiations leading to the ratification of various international agreements. These international agreements are geared towards the mitigation of the effects of climate change and the strategic adaptation to the conditions. The most important outcomes of these negotiations include the UNFCCC, ratified on August 2, 1994, and of course, the Kyoto Protocol, which was ratified on November 20, 2003. At the national level, the medium-term Philippine Development Plan of 2004 to 2010 underscored the need to manage the environment more effectively in order for the country to address the problem of poverty, particularly in the rural areas. Of course, the Philippines is suffering from degradation of the natural environment. It has 50 major rivers now polluted due to the abuse and neglect. Approximately two-thirds of the country's original mangroves have been lost. 100 years ago, the Philippines had close to 22 million hectares of old-growth forest, but at the start of year 2000, we had less than 600,000 hectares of old-growth forest left. In one century, we had cut down close to 97% of our original forest. A study by the environmental scientists for social change reveals that we have systematically cut this forest down and that we have not stopped its destruction and that of its core biodiversity. So this is a very pressing problem for the Philippines. We have only very little left of our old growth forest. And although there are a lot of policies in place to to reverse this condition, but it will take time. It will take so many years for nature to heal itself. But with this short course, I believe that I can be an instrument to influence change on how we treat our planet, because this is the only planet that we got, on how to live sustainably, not just rely on fossil fuels, but uh, think of many more ways to harness the God-given gifts like solar, wind, and hydro. All of these renewable energy sources can be managed, can be developed to favor civilization for years to come and in the future. So I have shown you my video yesterday about my province. So I will not show it again unless you request it. But for now, that is all. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have gotten a picture of my culture and my place. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark, for your wonderful presentation. Yeah, we could saw that energy crisis, also energy sources, and how your country develop now currently, and how you depend on day by day on rely on renewable energy. So, are there any question or any comments or anything to ask, Mark? Anyone?
None, sir.
Okay. So our next participant, Kia, right? Are you
Yes,
ready?
sir.
Okay,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, sir. Please,
S-
you can share your screen.
okay. Can you see my screen,
Yes.
sir?
Yes. Yes.
So, hi everyone. Again, I'm Kia Pinero. I'm also from the Philippines. So, I will also be discussing a part of my country and a part of my city, where I'm located right now. So, this is my my slide. If you can see in my slide, these two photos on the side, this is from this is from my city. So we have we call this Vintas, colorful Vintas of Zamboanga. We celebrate this a festival every October to celebrate Mother Mary, and we have this one of the oldest structures in the city. This is our this is where the city hall is located. So again, I would just like to this is just to run through about the country because Sir Mark has discussed about the Philippines. So as we all know, that Philippines is an archipelago and we have more or less 7,000 plus islands, and we have the world's fifth longest coastline, and the Philippines is also situated in the Pacific Ring of Fire, and because of this, we experience frequent seismic and volcanic activity. We are also the world's second biggest geothermal energy producer behind the United States, wherein 18% of our country's electricity is met by geothermal power. We also have a very valuable mineral deposits as a result of its complex geologic structure and high level of seismic activity. So as Sir Mark discussed earlier about our climate, so we have four types of climate, but we have three major seasons. We have hot, dry season, which we call summer from March to May. And then we have rainy season from June to November and a cold, dry season from December to January. And because of our location, no, we are straddling in the typhoon belt. We are experiencing more or less, according to the study, that we have 15 to 20 typhoons getting inside the country annually from July to October, and nine of this is making its landfall in the country. And then for our government, so the Philippines is a democratic country. So we have a presidential system, and the president, our president, presently we have President Rodrigo Duterte. He functions as the head of state. He is the head of the government, and he is the commander of chief of our armed forces. So the president is elected popular vote for a single 6-year term, and it could be extended for another 3-year term. For our demographics, our population, so according to a latest study of the United Nations data, we are expected to reach 111 million by July 1, 2021. And if you can see in the figure above, my city, the Zamboanga city, is ranked as the fifth most largest cities in the Philippines in terms of its population. So Philippines is a little bit we are a populous country. So number one is Quezon City. It's in Luzon, and followed by Manila, also in the National Capital Region. So for our language and dialects, we have more or less 120 to 187 dialects all around the country, but we have Filipino, or Tagalog, a standardized version of Tagalog. It's our national language, it's our official language, along with English. And then for our education, we have two types of education. We have the formal and non-formal systems. So our formal education, we have it's 16 years span, 6 years of primary school, and then we have another 6 years of secondary school because we have adopted K to 12, and then another 4 years of higher education for a bachelor's degree. For non-formal systems, we have the schools that are offering mga vocational courses and short training courses. So the Philippines is a developing country. It's a newly industrialized emerging nation, and major industries of the Philippines includes electronics, garments, food processing, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, fishing, and petroleum refining. Its main export partners are China, United States, Japan, Netherlands, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Malaysia, and Singapore. So again, so as Sir Mark discussed earlier, we have, similar with other countries, we also experience a number of environmental problems, not just natural disasters, but those that are human caused. And to add up to what Sir Mark has discussed, we also have a big problem on the single-use plastics and the emerging problem of microplastics as well, and its presence on our food. No, microplastics have gone its way through our rivers and in our waters. So it's also a big problem now in the Philippines. And then also Philippines, because of its location, geologic location, we are a hotspot for climate change, and this is a risk for agriculture and food security because we experience long extreme El Nino and long terms of drought. And okay, for our environmental laws, so Sir Mark has discussed this. So this is a timeline of our national Philippine environmental laws. We have PD 1151, we have environmental policy, we have environmental code, and then to add to this, we also have the recently approved law RA 10121. It's a law on disaster risk, and then we have we have also law on climate change. So for our energy sources, our energy consumption is based mainly 31% is met by oil, 20% is from coal, 22% is from geothermal, 12% is from biomass, 6% is from hydro, and only 1% is sourced from renewable energy sources like wind, solar, and biofuel. In terms of electricity generation, 41.4% of the electricity demand is met by geothermal energy, and 28% is by coal, and again, only 0.1% is sourced from renewable energy sources like wind and solar and biofuel. But we have several solar power plants, solar power farms in the country. And the biggest we have is the Cadiz Solar Power Plant, which is located in Negros Occidental. It's 132.5 megawatts solar farm, followed by the 80 megawatts San Carlos Solar Energy in Cebu, and then and so on. And then we also have a wind power, renewable wind energy from different areas of the country. Like we have this one, the first and I think the biggest, the Bangi windmills located in Ilocos Norte. So I would like to share a video to you about my country and my city.
Okay.
The Philippines is defined by its emerald rice fields.
Can you hear the sound, sir?
Yes.
Yes, Kia.
Thank you.
Graffiti splashed jeepneys, smouldering volcanoes, and smiling happy-go-lucky people. It's a land apart from mainland Southeast Asia, not only geographically, but also spiritually and culturally. And with more than 7,000 islands, the Philippines is a beach bum's delight. There's an island to suit every taste, from maroon banks of sand to sprawling mega islands. Cruising through the Bacuit archipelago of northern Palawan, past secluded beaches, pristine lagoons and rocky islets, is an experience not to be missed. Only a short banker ride from the easygoing coastal town of El Nido, Bacuit Bay presents a mix of imposing limestone escarpments, palm tree-lined beaches and coral reefs. The cultivated mountains here are extraordinary. Even the sheerest cliffs possess little patches of ground that have been tilled into rice paddies, creating an unending landscape of terraced hills. There's a perfect beach for everyone on the country's 7,000 plus islands. Want to be far away from everybody? Seeking a good dive spot or a place to do some kite surfing? There's a beach for you. It's almost too easy. The Philippines wouldn't be the Philippines without the colourful festivals that happen throughout the year. Even the tiniest village holds at least one annually. The toe of boot-shaped Negros offers a little bit of everything. World-class diving, trekking, dolphin and whale watching, and perfect beaches are pretty much everywhere. High season runs December through April, and it's worth noting accommodation prices drop 30% from June through September. Travel costs in the Philippines can range from less than 1,800 pesos a day if you enjoy a dorm bed and local lunch, to over 3,600 pesos a day for a boutique resort and private island hopping. Vans offer the quickest overland option, but buses, boats and the iconic jeepney are also available for more far-flung destinations. From kayaking in turquoise waters to scaling smouldering volcanoes and exploring desert islands, wandering around ancient rice terraces and submerging yourself in world-class dive sites, not to mention visiting remote hill tribes, the Philippines is truly Southeast Asia's undiscovered gem.
Don't sleep on this tourist gem in Southeast Asia. Welcome to Mojo Travels, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 reasons to visit the Philippines. Are you a fan of our videos? Be sure to subscribe to Mojo Travels and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're looking at the best places to go and things to see and do in this astonishing archipelago. Number 10. Beaches. With so many islands, golden sands and gorgeous coasts are found in abundance in the Philippines. The country has something on offer for everyone. The quiet isolation of Palawi Island, which boasts white beaches and vibrant coral. The popular expat destination Bantayan Island, where, with no luxury hotels, you can get a real taste of island life. There's Caramoan for the adventurer in you, where Survivor was filmed. And finally, there's Panglao, where you can observe ocean wildlife like dolphins, whales, and even barracudas. Everyone who visits will leave with a different favorite beach in mind. Number 9. Jeepneys. Vehicles left behind by the United States at the end of World War II heralded the creation of this Filipino icon. Repurposed surplus Jeeps became the #1 method of public transportation and have remained wildly popular ever since. Colorful, chrome-plated, and incredibly kitsch, jeepneys are found throughout the Philippine streets and cities. They're not so popular with environmental activists, however, who are looking to phase them out. If you want to ride in one of these famous cars, you'll want to catch a plane ASAP to ensure you actually get the opportunity. Number 8. Puerto Princesa Subterranean River. In the middle of its own UNESCO-listed national park lies the Puerto Princesa Subterranean River, the longest underground river in the world, running through an expansive cave system for just over 5 miles. You can find it in the St. Paul mountain range, and it's considered so beautiful, it was included in a 2012 list of the new 7 wonders of the natural world. With this in mind, you won't want to skip out on it on your vacation. The only issue is it might prove tricky to get to, hundreds of miles away from the country's capital, Manila, and you'll also need to apply for a permit in advance. Number 7. El Nido. If there's one place everyone insists you have to spend time in to complete any Filipino getaway, it's El Nido. The area includes a group of beautiful limestone islands with unusual rock formations alongside endless stretches of white beaches and turquoise ocean. As a thriving tourist spot, El Nido has no shortage of hotels, ranging from run-of-the-mill hostels to 5-star luxury. You can even stay in bungalows built on the water. Outside of the popular beaches, however, there are also hidden secret beaches and lagoons you might be able to check out, and many of the island's attractions focus on sustainability and environmental awareness. Number 6. Tarsiers. The Philippines have plenty of excitement, but one little guy stands out from the crowd, the tarsier. These are the weirdest primates you'll ever see, and aren't much bigger than a human hand, with gigantic eyes, enabling them to see in the dark, and freakishly long fingers. The eyes are actually the biggest eyes in proportion to body size of any animal. They're found in the jungles, seen leaping from tree to tree to catch insects and other tasty bugs. Unfortunately, deforestation in Southeast Asia has threatened many indigenous tarsier populations, but in the Philippines, you won't struggle to spot one in the wild. Number 5. Banaue Rice Terraces. Dubbed by some to be the 8th wonder of the world, the Banaue Rice Terraces are vast terraces built on the slopes of the Ifugao Mountains by indigenous people. carved by humans with no modern drilling equipment up to 2,000 years ago. These enormous fields are more than a little impressive. The irrigation system used to keep them green uses water from the rainforest below, and remarkably, the terraces are still in full working order. Many local people still venture into the mountains to plant rice and other crops, and the terraces are extremely culturally significant to Ifugao culture. Number 4. Diving. El Nido alone has over 30 prime diving spots for you to choose from, whether you're a certified scuba diver or just treading water. There's about as much to see and do underneath the water in the Philippines as there is on land, with diverse and beautiful underwater wildlife. If you head out to Anilao or Oslab, you can get up close and personal with whale sharks. But there's also the Tubataha Reefs National Park, another major UNESCO site where you can see vibrant coral. However, if bright colors aren't your speed, there's also the Black Forest, a reef boasting lots of black coral. Number 3. Food. Balut is one of the weirdest foods in the entire world, and definitely the thing any tourist wanting to test themselves should go for. A partially developed duck embryo boiled and then eaten from the shell.
This piece, I can't bite into it.
Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart or vegetarians. But if you are squeamish, there are so many other amazing dishes to choose from kare-kare beef and peanut stew to the luscious roast pig called lechon. Adobo is considered the unofficial national dish, which consists of chunks of pork or chicken cooked in soy sauce and vinegar with plenty of seasoning. And for your sweet tooth is halo-halo, a dessert made of ice shavings with all sorts of fruits and vegetables thrown in. Number 2. Islands. The Philippines is made up of over 7,000 separate islands and islets, most perfectly explorable if you find yourself there when it isn't the monsoon season, and you avoid those with political unrest. In addition to the previously noted El Nido, there are a plethora of other beautiful locations that don't often get a mention. For more great diving and picturesque waterfalls, you don't want to miss Cebu. But if you're not so interested in the idyllic beach life, there's the giant island Luzon. Luzon is not only the country's largest island, but also the location of Manila, the thriving urban capital which we won't delve into too much here because it deserves its own list. Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions. Number 1. Festivals. If flamboyant, colorful festivals are your thing, then look no further. Every city in the Philippines has its own festival. Davao City has the Kadayawan Festival, which celebrates a bountiful harvest in August every year. There are the fertility rites held in mid-May in Obando, devoted to saints who can provide a child to loving parents. The vast Sinulog Festival in Cebu, which has partying, dancing, and traditional costumes. Last but not least is Calibo's Ati-Atihan Festival, one of the most important and oldest festivals celebrating Filipino indigenous culture. Do you agree with our picks? Check out the
1, 2, 3.
Buenas tardes, desde Zamboanga, aquí para conversar Chabacano.
What you're hearing is the only Spanish Creole language in Asia, the city of Zamboanga to be exact. High five. Hola.
Hola, bienvenidos en Zamboanga.
Muchas gracias.
¿Qué tal?
Muy bien, ¿y tú?
Muy bien.
¿Entiendes español?
Sí.
It's been years since I wanted to visit Zamboanga, not only because it has the coolest name or a unique location in the southwestern point of the Philippines, but I've always been drawn into its culture.
This one is called tulay tum, and it's made of beef and burnt coconut.
I've never seen burnt coconut meat before. It's spicy.
The natives here are called
Chabacano,
and their mother tongue is similar to
Spanish.
It's crazy being here because the culture feels somewhat like Malaysia and Indonesia, but hearing Spanish reminds me of Equatorial Guinea, which is the only Spanish-speaking country in Africa.
I'm getting cultured here in Equatorial Guinea. In fact, Zamboanga is the only place in all of Asia where people speak a Spanish dialect.
Hasta la vista, baby.
So how did this all come to be? In 1521, the Spanish made their way to this archipelago of 7,641 islands and stayed for 377 years. That's why Filipino culture today is heavily influenced by the Spaniards in terms of religion, family values, cuisine, hello leche flan, and language. While many of the Philippines' 170 dialects have elements of Spanish words, nothing is closer than Chavacano.
¿Cuántos años tienes tú?
13.
13. Yo tengo 28 años.
The language evolved from a history of interactions between the Spanish and the Filipinos and is now spoken by more than 700,000 Chavacanos in Zamboanga City. It's widely considered as the world's oldest Creole language, and as a Spanish speaker myself, I'm completely fascinated by this stuff.
Hello, hola. Buen días.
¿Qué tal?
Bueno.
Even though it's a Creole language, about 70% of the words are the same as Spanish, and the Filipinos down here can read, speak, and write Spanish quite well.
Cuando yo hablo en español, ¿entiendes todo?
Entiendes.
¿Es difícil o un poco?
Un poco.
So the next time you hear Spanish being spoken, just remember that there's tons of smiling faces in the Philippines who would love to join the conversation.
Adiós. Gracias no mirada. Vaya con Dios.
Gracias.
Thank you, gracias.
So thank you very much. Muchísimas gracias. That's all.
Thank you so much, Kaya, for a wonderful presentation. Especially, I like your videos, and it was great. And we may have lots of idea about your country. Yeah, your country is very beautiful, and we'll visit soon.
Thank you, sir.
And anyone would like to ask any question or anything, any compliment?
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Kaya, that was a very good presentation, and I'm so happy that you showed a video depicting the Philippines as a prime tourist destination, and would like to take this opportunity to invite everyone for you to come and visit our beautiful country soon when the pandemic is over.
Yes. Julie. Next.
Okay, sir. Good afternoon from Philippines. Okay, it's my turn now.
Yes, sir. Please.
Okay, can you see now my slides, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so good afternoon to everyone, and to the rest of the world, good evening also. And this afternoon, I focus only my presentation into my region, which is Caraga Region 13. And some of my colleagues shown already the beautiful spots of our country. I suppose to share more, but I focus more only in my region, which is Caraga Region in the Philippines. Okay, so our logo in the country it's more fun in the Philippines because we have a lot of beautiful spots. Millions of tourists came to our country before the pandemic, and they really enjoy much in our country. So my name is Julie Berami, and I focus my presentation this afternoon in Caraga region only. So Caraga region composed of 5 regions. First, Agusan del Norte, where you can find Butuan City is the capital, and then the Agusan del Sur, Surigao del Norte, Surigao del Sur, and the Dinagat Islands. So Caraga region has the biggest iron deposit in the world, and Philippines is the top 6 country with the largest nickel reserves in the world of 4.8 million tons, according to US Geoscience, particularly in Surigao del Norte, in Caraga region, which is in my region. And you can find these big mines of nickel, particularly in Taganito, Rio Chuba, Caggianao, Carrascal, and Alay Caggianao Tanduana mines. So these are the biggest nickel mines here in our region. So Butuan City is a coastal, highly urbanized city in Caraga region. The city also serves as the regional center of Caraga. Butuan City has 86 barangays with the area of 816.62 kilometers squared, with a population of 337,063 in the year 2020. And we don't have yet the latest number of people here in the here in the region. So we have also cultural minorities. Our prevailing tribe here is the Manubo, the Mamanwa, the Banwaon, the Kamayu, the Higaonon, the Umayamnon, and the Kalagan. And then we have the average annual temperature in the region of 26.8 degrees Celsius. So Caraga's diverse topography includes mountain ranges, flat farmlands, lakes, beaches, waterfalls, rivers, and wetlands. So if you're going to see the map here, this is the population map from 1960 to 2015. So you have noticed that in the year 2050, so there is a drastic increase of our population because this region is a highly urbanized region in the Philippines. Okay, so as what my colleague mentioned a while ago, so we are dominated by the Spaniards. So we were influenced much by the Spaniards when it comes to religion. So if you're going to look at here, in Region 13, so there are 1.8 plus million Catholics here in Caraga region alone. So that is a big number of religious people here in our region because as I said, we are occupied by the Spaniards many years ago. Okay, so before I proceed to my presentation, so I'll present first some of the beautiful tourist spots and some of the lumas in our region, which is the Manubo. So this is some of the pictures, the tribal people here in the region. Okay, so their costume is very beautiful, and we showcase their culture during festivals here in the region. Same also in the whole Philippines, particularly in first week or second week of January. Okay, so Caraga region is the hub of beautiful places. So first we have here the Enchanted River in Hinatuan, in somewhere in Surigao. So this is a famous river here in our region, and this river also is visited by hundreds of tourists per year. Then we have here also the beach in Surigao del Sur, because we are surrounded with beaches actually. So this is a naked island in Surigao. So as you can see, so it is a white sand, and it is similar to the famous Boracay Island here in the Philippines, which is found in the Aklan Malay. Okay, so this one is the Siargao, the surfing capital of the Philippines. So Siargao is facing to the Pacific Ocean. That's why you can find here huge or gigantic waves. So every year, hundreds of thousands of visitors come to this area just to have the surfing contest, for example, or some watching sometimes if the weather is good here in our region, particularly in Dinagat Island. Okay, so this one is similar also to Coron, Palawan. So we have also this in the region. So this is the rock formation, and this is also one of the tourist spots here in the region. Okay, and we have also here the Sohoton Island. So it is similar in 200 islands in Pangasinan and Luzon. So we have also here. So this is one of the famous spots here in the region, especially here in Caraga. And also here we have also another a world-class beach here in Surigao. So it is a white beach. So it is very nice to look at, and then many visitors will come here during summer, but not this pandemic. And this one is our Balangay. It is supposed that this boat is similar to the boat brought by Ferdinand Magellan here in the Philippines when he discovered in the year 1530, something like that, in the 1500s. And then Butuan is claimed that they visited first here before they claimed the Limasawa Island there in Cebu. But I think supposedly history will change, that the first boat landed by Magellan is here in Butuan City. Okay. And then the other one is the Tinoyan Falls, which is the Niagara Falls here in Caraga region. So this is a very beautiful falls here in Caraga region. Another one also is we have the Manchagaw Mangrove Forest. This is found in Dinagat Island. So we have also this forest for waves protection of our seashore. So this is, I think, controlled or managed by the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. And then when you go to Butuan, so you can find this long bridge. So the name is the Macapagal Bridge. It was named when the time of our former president, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. So this is one of the spots here in our region here in Caraga. And then this is the Agusan Mars. It is where Lolong caught the largest crocodile, the longest pressed crocodile caught here in the Philippines. So this is the Agusan Mars. This is a very beautiful Mars here in Agusan del Norte. This one is part of the Agusan Mars. Then some of our local festivals like the Kahimunan Festival, because in the Philippines we are very particular with festivals every year. So we have a very colorful costumes, and I'm sure many tourists will just come to the country and just witness and watch our festivals here in the country, especially in Sinulog Festival in Cebu and Ati-Atihan in Aklan or in Iloilo. So this festival is very festive every year. So this is some of the photos. This one also is part of the Kahimunan Festival here in Butuan City. This one also is the Kahimunan Festival here in our region. Okay, this one is part of the festival also here in the region. Okay, so this time I would like to share some of our natural resources here in Caraga region alone. Okay, so when it comes to natural resources, so we have the water resources, we have the white sand beaches, we have the lagoons, beautiful lagoons, especially in Sohoton, and then we have the majestic falls like the Tinoyan Falls, known as the Niagara Falls here in the Philippines. Okay, another resources also, we have the land resources. We have vast agricultural lands, and we have also thick forests, because here in our region, big percentage of our production here is the lumber, especially the Kolkata, for paper manufacture, for making papers. Okay. And then we have also the land resources. Areas are suitable for planting trees and vines, cultivating crops, and of course we have the forest, because Caraga region is a mountain range region. And then we have also some mineral resources like the metallic and non-metallic resources, and we have the abundance of chromite here in Caraga region. And then our mineral resources, we have the metallic minerals such as copper, gold, chromite, cobalt, nickel, lead, and zinc. And then we have also non-metals like feldspar, coal, and milestone, and we have large and small scale minings here in Caraga region. Okay, so for mineral resources, so we have the largest nickel reserves in the country, and also the gold mining here in the country, the big and small mine scale mining here in Caraga region. So this is the data, the global yearly nickel production by country. So if you can see here in the graph, so Philippines here have reached up to at least 550,000 tons per year, according to this report. Okay, so next are the other one, the Canada, the Russia, Australia, and some other countries. So as I told a while ago, we have the biggest nickel mines here in Caraga region. Okay, so if we're going to look at, so this is the damage caused by the nickel mines here in Caraga region. This is located in Surigao. If you can go there, you can really see the devastated mountains because of the irresponsible mining done by the mining companies in Caraga region. So if you're going to look at here, so the natural resources is really devastated because of very wrong or irresponsible mining, not only here in the country, but also in other countries. So this is one problem also that can cause the global warming, soil erosion, landslides, and some other calamities in a particular area. Okay, so local officials in mining areas in Caraga region have expressed their hostility towards the environment. This woman, she was our former DNR secretary in the person of Gina Lopez. She died already last year, and then when she was appointed as secretary, so she had this campaign to close mining here in Caraga region because of what happened. As you can see here in the presentation, so mountains actually are devastated because of the irresponsible mining. So it is very sad to know that there are some kind of responsible mining here in our region. And this thing also is more clearer if you're going to look at. So our mountains here are very devastated because of the mine, because of the irresponsible mining here in our region. Because our region is very rich in natural resources like nickel, iron, and gold. So big companies have this here in our region, and as you can see, this is the result of not doing well in the mining industry. And it's very sad to know that I share this this afternoon, and this is the reality actually in my region. And then because of this irresponsible mining, so people in the local community protested because they wanted to stop the mining industry here because it can pollute the water, and then especially in the mining industry, so the mercury is very dangerous, and then some other harmful chemicals. So they are the victim of this irresponsible mining industry here in the country. So it is very sad to know that, hoping that in the near future, the government can control this kind of responsible mining. Okay, but in spite of those scenarios here in the country or situation in the here in my region, so some other mining companies also they share a percentage of money in order to have a rehabilitation in some areas or areas located near the mining areas, so that the forest will be so that they will plant more trees or the seedlings in order to have this a protection actually within the vicinity of the mining in the mining company. Okay, so this one is one program. So they planted trees near the mine site because of this situation. No, the mountains are bald already. No more trees because of the mining. And then this one is the another move in order to rehabilitate the mining sites. So companies are obliged to plant more trees near the site. Okay, so this is this graph is the annual expenditure of the mining company, and this is only in our region here in Butuan City, somewhere here in Butuan City. So for the land resource, so these companies spend this 67% here in the region in order to rehabilitate the forest. And then the water quality, I'm sure they have the study in order to determine the quality of the water, same as the air quality and some other things. So I'm sure, hoping that they are going to continue this until they can fully rehabilitate our environment here in Caraga region. Okay, so in our region, for example, particularly in Butuan City, so we have also here the solid waste management system, as what my colleagues mentioned a while ago, and with your discussion about solid waste management system. So we have also here problem in our city. Our mayor made this ordinance to have the solid waste management code or solid waste management program here in our local city in Butuan City. And for example, in our subdivision, because I'm living in a subdivision, so the garbage collector here will not collect our garbage unless we're not going to segregate. So I can say that in our village, people are more disciplined because they knew already that the garbage collector will pick up only if their garbage will be segregated properly. Okay, so that is a good practice also here. But I do not know with the neighboring cities and some other barangays, and particularly in our city, because this is also one big problem here, because during rainy season, canals are clogged with so much of garbage here in the city. So that is a good move also, because our local government here think about the waste management here in the city. And this is our mayor, and they launched the Clean Ground Zero Waste. This is last 2011. So this program is well established already for so many years, and this is the stakeholders and representatives who sign an agreement that they're going to do it also, not only here in the city but also in the other barangays here in part of Butuan City. And then this is some of the programs conducted by the government. They have this campaign program to collect garbage actually in some parts of the city. And then this is also the government and non-government agencies participating in cleaning the city. Like for example, our stakeholders, the citizens living in the city, or or in the barangays, and also our military, especially the police and also the army. Okay, they are helping. They are in this campaign program in the government. So as our speaker mentioned previously, so we don't have much. We don't have here the wind power or wind power plant. My colleague mentioned in Bangi in Ilocos we have there, and then when I went to Boracay, I saw also there in Boracay they have also there the wind power plant there. And but here in Caraga region, there is no a wind turbine yet, but the government already have this plan to implement soon, and they have already the concept image of these wind turbines here in our region, because some portion are facing into the water. So if you're going to have these wind turbines, so I'm sure we can generate electricity coming from wind turbines here in our region. So hoping that in the year to come, so this proposal will come into realization. Okay, so this project entails wind power generation. It can pass the facilities with a capacity of 33 megawatts in Agusan del Norte, Caraga region here in Mindanao, and then generated power is sold to power grid and reduces green gas emissions by replacing grid electricity, so that we can have the stable supply of wind power from these facilities. It will also help to develop sustainable economy here in Mindanao. Okay, so expected greenhouse gas emission reduction into 35,350 tons carbon dioxide emission per year in Caraga region alone. Okay, so for the climate change projections in 2020 to 2050 in Caraga region, so I can show you here a data. So this one is map showing the projected seasonal temperature increase in degrees Celsius in the Philippines in 2020 and 2050. So this map here is also included the Caraga region. So I'm sure if we are affected with the climate change, of course, not only in some portion of the Philippines, but of course the whole Philippines, of course, because our country is just a small country. Okay, so this one also map showing the projected rainfall change if the climate change really happened, no, in the year 2030, or even now we are suffering already the climate change. And then you can see here that there is really an increase of the rainfall, or there is really a rainfall change, not only in some portion of the Philippines, but of course the whole Philippines, including our region, of course. And here, this is the data in Caraga region. Dinagat Island is not part here because Dinagat Island is quite a remote islands here in Caraga region. So if you're going to look at here, so by 2050, so there is an increase of temperature here. If you're going to look at here, so this one. Okay, for example, here from 2020, rainfall change from 2020 to 2050. So under medium range emission scenario in provinces in Caraga region. So by 2050, so this is December, January, February, then March, April, May, then June, July, August, and then September, October, November. So if you're going to look at here, so this might happen in our Caraga region alone. So we cannot escape also this problem because we are part also here. And in this study, it is conducted so that people will be aware that we have to to exert extra effort in order to protect our environment, because as of now we are experiencing the effect of the global warming, or especially the climate change, even in our region, and much more in some other regions in the country, and of course countries around the world. Okay, so this is the reduced carbon dioxide projected by this is the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions in tons of carbon dioxide equivalent to this tons of carbon dioxide equivalent resulting from the implementation of the OPM in Caraga region. So when we this OPM is the online permitting management system. This is one way to determine the carbon emission here in our region. So the Butuan City have this initiative in order to cut the greenhouse gas emissions in Caraga region from 2015 to 2017, resulting from the implementation of this OPMs here in Caraga region. So the OPM is an online processing of different environmental permits and other requirements, such as environmental compliance certificate, permit to operate, wastewater discharge permit, self-monitoring report, and alike. So the recent study revealed that based on the study of the OPM here in Caraga, was able to cut 271 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent from 2016 to 2017, which is equated to the savings of 106,326 liters of diesel fuel burned and emitted to the atmosphere. So I am also happy to hear this one, because our government had this initiative in order to determine our carbon emission here in Caraga region. Okay.
Wow.
Okay, so that's all. Thank you very much for your listening.
Arlene.
Okay, so that's all about Caraga region. I hope that I give a partial information about Caraga region. Okay, thank you very much.
You give us a huge amount of information. Thank you so much.
Okay, sir, you're welcome.
Are there any question from audience or any compliment?
That was good morning again. The informative presentation throughout from everybody. And like you said, more and more with these country presentation, even though we are here, you're getting a chance to learn about these countries and understand what they're doing and how they're contributing to adaptation and mitigation of the sustainable energy usage. So once again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next participant, Kimberly. Madam Kimberly.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon po from the Philippines.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll just...
You can share your screen, yeah.
Can you see my presentation, sir?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, good afternoon. I am Kimberly Gay F. Tamayo from the Philippines, and I will be presenting a country report about biomass energy. The Republic of the Philippines is an archipelagic country in Southeast Asia situated in the West Pacific Ocean and consists of about 7,600 plus islands that are broadly categorized under three main geographical divisions from north to south, mainly the Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao Islands. As per the climatic situation of the country, as well as the cultures and history, they were already discussed by Ma'am Kia, Sir Mark, and Sir Julie, so I won't discuss them anymore. In terms of In terms of biogeographic location, the Philippines' position as an island country on the Pacific Ring of Fire and close to the equator makes the country prone to earthquakes and typhoons. The country also has a variety of natural resources and globally significant level of biodiversity, as you can see in my presentation. Considering its strategic location, it is rich in marine and terrestrial resources, and despite of these eye-catching rich treasures of the country, its low-lying island geography makes the country vulnerable to climate change, increasing risk from typhoons and sea level rise. And like any developing country, the Philippines is facing a formidable challenge of fostering sustainable energy options to support the energy requirements of its economic and social development goals with minimal adverse effects on the environment. In the country, renewable energy sources contribute 43% to the country's primary energy mix, one of the highest in Southeast Asia. Philippines has abundant supplies of biomass resources, offering much potential for clean energy generation. These include agricultural crop residues, forest residues, animal waste, agro-industrial waste, municipal solid waste, and aquatic biomass. The most common agricultural waste are rice hull, bagasse, coconut shell husk, and coconut coir. The use of crop residues as biofuels is increasing in the Philippines as fossil fuel prices continue to rise. Rice hull is perhaps the most important underdeveloped biomass resource that could be fully utilized in a sustainable manner. The Philippines is mainly an agricultural country with a land area of 13 million hectares, 47% of which is agricultural. The total area devoted to agricultural crops is 13 million hectares distributed among food grains, food crops, and non-food crops. Among the crops grown, rice, coconut, and sugarcane are major contributors to biomass energy resources. At present, biomass technologies utilized in the country vary from the use of bagasse as boiler fuel for cogeneration and rice and coconut husk dryers for crop drying. The most common agricultural waste in the Philippines are these mentioned waste products. The country has good potential for biomass power plants as one-third of the country's agricultural land produces rice and consequently large volumes of rice straw and hulls are generated. With more than 1.2 million hectares of rain-fed rice-producing areas, the country produced around 19 million tons of rice in 2019. The estimated production of rice hull in the Philippines is more than 2 million tons per annum, which is equivalent to approximately 5 million barrels of oil equivalent in terms of energy. Rice straw is another important biomass resource with potential of exceeding 5 million per year across the country. Another, the sugar industry in the Philippines is one of the major source of ethanol and domestic sugar, which is a major thriving industry in the country. Around 380,000 hectares of land is devoted to sugarcane cultivation. It is also estimated that 1.17 million tons of sugarcane trash is recoverable as a biomass resource in the Philippines in the form of the bagasse. The country is also one with the largest number of coconut trees in the world as it produces most of the world market for coconut oil and copra meal. The major coconut wastes include coconut shell, coconut husks, and coconut coir dust. Coconut shell is the most widely utilized, but the reported utilization rate is very low. Approximately 500 million coconut trees in the Philippines produce tremendous amounts of biomass as husk with 4.1 million tons, the coconut shell with 1.8 million tons, and the coconut frond with 4.5 million tons annually. Maize is another major group in the Philippines that generates large amounts of agricultural residues. It is estimated that 4 million tons of grain maize and 0.96 million tons of maize cobs produced yearly in the Philippines. Maize cob burning is the main energy application of the crop and is widely practiced by small farmers to supplement fuel wood for cooking. As of the moment, the country is exploring the potential of these maize cobs to become a source of biomass. Aside from that, there is also a biomass gasifier for the mechanical and electrical applications, which also have um, uh, electrical applications, agricultural waste for cooking and heating purposes, and we also have this fuel wood used in cook stoves for cooking and heating. Biomass technologies represent the largest installations in the Philippines in comparison with the other renewable energy efficiency, and greenhouse gas abatement technologies. Biomass energy plays a vital role in the nation's energy supply. Nearly 30% of the energy for the millions of people in the Philippines comes from biomass, mainly used for the household cooking by the rural poor. Biomass energy application accounts for around 15% of the primary energy use in the Philippines, and the resources available in the Philippines can generate biomass projects with a potential capacity of more than 200 megawatts. And based on the information from the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, the Philippines could generate substantial volumes of residues which can be utilized as energy fuel. Latest estimates reveal that the country's agriculture sector can potentially produce 271.7 million barrels of fuel oil equivalent of biomass in 2003, increasing moderately by 1.9% annually. Based on geographical consideration on biomass supply, there is an abundant supply of bagasse in regions 3, 4, 6, and 7. And meanwhile, the coconut residues abound in regions 4, 8, 9, and 11, while Ross Hall is abundant in regions 2, 3, 4, and 6. Here's the percentage of biomass resources in the Philippines, which was included in the country's 10-year energy plan, where the fuel wood contains the highest percentage, while the animal waste projects projects the lowest percentage of the biomass resource. The Philippines also enacted 2 legislations to promote renewable energy deployment, particularly the Renewable Energy Act of 2008 and the Biofuels Act of 2006, in recognition of the advantages of the use of renewable energy as energy source. The National Renewable Energy Program, or the NREP, on the other hand, outlines the policy framework enshrined in Republic Act number 9513. It sets the strategic building of blocks that will help the country achieve the goals set forth in the Renewable Energy Act of 2008. The NREP signals the country's big leap from fragmented and halting renewable energy initiatives into a focused and sustained drive towards energy security and improved access to clean energy. However, as to the report of the Philippine Institute of the Development Studies in 2017, there remains issues and criticisms on the promotion of renewable energy technologies in the Philippines and on the implementation of the renewable energy laws. Both sides of the debate have their justifications for supporting or not supporting the use of renewable energy resources and technologies. The implementation of the renewable energy laws, rules, and regulations has also been receiving criticisms. And on the contrary, several groups and organizations have been promoting the use of renewable energy, such as biomass, because of its promising ability as clean energy source that could contribute in the 2030 target of the climate activists, enthusiasts, and scientists. The Philippines has several projects focusing on the production and exploration of biomass energy. One example is the Victoria's Milling Corporation, which energizes its way to financial wealth with 1.1 billion 40 megawatts pesos 40 megawatt biomass power project. It is set to put up a cogeneration facility using bagasse, or the leftover sugarcane fiber, or locally known as sapal, at the Victoria's Milling Corporation Agro-Industrial Complex in Victoria City, Negros Occidental Province. And approximately 6.4 million tons of surplus bagasse is available from the sugar mills. And today, there are 29 operating sugar mills in the country with an average capacity of 6,900 tons of cane per day. Majority of these sugar mills are located in Negros Island, which provides about 46% of the country's annual sugar production. Another example of corporation that supports the production of biomass energy is the Isabela Biomass Energy Corporation, or the IBEC. It is a 100% Philippine-owned corporation duly registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission of the Philippines that was formed to generate, sell, and supply electricity through the exploration, development, utilization of alternative and/or renewable sources of energy and technologies. IBEC aims to become one of the more aggressive and technology-driven renewable energy companies in the country. Through its development of biomass-fired power plants, IBEC will be able to contribute to the socio-economic development of the countryside, specifically in the upliftment of the standard of living of the Filipino farmers through the provision of additional income to their families as an offshoot of the provision and purchase of biomass feedstock to the company's power plants. And here are the mission or the objectives of the Biomass Energy Corporation. And this is the existing corporation found in Isabela. And here are the impacts of the corporation, of the said corporation. Other biomass projects are the following, retrieved from the Department of Energy as of May 2021. In the Luzon Island, there are a total of 10 existing projects, biomass projects from the 3 regions with 3.10 megawatts total potential capacity and a total of 44.54 megawatts installed capacity. In Visayas, there are a total of 11 biomass projects from the 7 provinces with an approximate 107.33 megawatts of total installed capacity. Meanwhile, in Mindanao, only Bukidnon has an existing biomass project with 27.40 megawatts total installed capacity. And to sum it up, the Philippines has an existing grand total of 3.10 megawatts of potential capacity and 179.27 megawatts of installed capacity. This table implies that the country is investing and exploring on the biomass energy to produce a renewable and clean source of energy, which is more environmental friendly and can contribute to mitigate climate change. And to wrap it up, the Philippines is among the most vulnerable nations to climate instability and experiences some of the largest crop losses due to unexpected climatic events. The country has strong self-interest in the advancement of clean energy technologies and has the potential to become a role model for other developing nations on account of its broad portfolio of biomass energy resources. Also, existing programs and policies anchored with the aim of the Department of Energy of the Philippines to shift with a cleaner source of energy that can be used in the future. Given the climate change and global warming threats in the country, the use and the gradual shift of these environmental friendly energy sources can help to mitigate these pressed environmental issues. And with that, we can preserve these beautiful islands and treasures of the country. Here are the references, and that's it. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Kimberly, for your insightful presentation. And we know many things about biomass in your Filipino. And are there any questions from audience or any compliment? Okay, thank you so much, all of you. And today we no more presenter. So see you tomorrow. Stay safe.
Thank you, sir, and
Okay.
goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir.
Keep safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy Eid